Hereditary is a new film directed by Ari Aster, and this is directorial debut, and it stars Toni Collette and Gabriel Byrne. And this movie focuses on the Grant family, and throughout the film we learn that more what the Grant family has gone through a lot of family tragedies in the past few years. And this film focuses on this character named Annie Graham, who basically creates like miniatures for her career, and throughout the film she experiences like weird paranormal activity that goes on in the house. I do not want to go in full details of the plot because when I was going into this film I didn't know what I was expecting, so I want you guys to have the same experience what I gone through. I went in with an open mind, and I'm gonna let you guys know that once this film started I was in the director's hands. The director took me on a journey all the way from start to finish, and I was just amazed of how well the director put so much time and effort in his skill set. And his directing style was just phenomenal. His camera work. He had so many moments where you think it's going to be a cliche jump scare, and he turned that cliche into something new, something more creative. Usually in the past few years, since I would say since the first Conjuring, there's been a new directing style revolving around horror films. Usually in classic horror films, you get the and the jump scare is right in your face. But in the past 4 or 5 years, like since the first Conjuring, there's been a new way to direct horror films. Usually it's just that subtle moment when the jump scare arrives. It doesn't really arrive until like it's unexpected, and in the sound editing is so silent that when it happens you're shocked. What he did was he made it seem like any scene could be a jump scare, but it wasn't. Every time the scene progressed into another scene, it still had that epic music, that's that eerie music in the background to make you wonder if that simple scene of them just being in a room looking at a mirror, or being in a room, or just writing on a piece of paper, is going to have something impactful that can shock the audience. The standout in this whole entire movie was a character named Annie Graham. She's being played by Toni Collette. Toni Collette, like literally, her performance brought chills into my spine. Like my fingers were shaking. She gave out a groundbreaking performance. And also about this film focuses a lot on family drama. And this film was a little bit more relatable in their conflict that family members have for one another. Like maybe the husband and wife are button heads, and the wife and the son are button heads, and the daughter and the son's button heads. And this film had so much tension and so much drama revolving around a family. And even though this is a horror film, the horror is based around that drama. And Toni Collette, well, like I said earlier, that she gave out a groundbreaking performance. She put so much effort that I actually felt the pain, the struggle, the turmoil that her character is going through. There is one scene in this movie where they're at this dinner table, and she gave out one hell of a emotional performance, and I was just floored. The second star of this whole entire movie was a character named Charlie, and she's being played by Miley Sharperow. If I got her name wrong, hopefully I got her name right. Miley Sharperow, and she was fantastic. She really delivered the creep factor. I don't want to go in full details of her character, but she played an essential role. But is there any flaws with this film? There's like a few flaws I had with this film. The flaws is there's this scene where Annie Graham's character is like mentioning her emotions, how she feels. That's a little bit expedition right there. Because the best thing about a character is having the audience see the character's performance, and we the audience can see and understand how they feel based off their body or facial expressions, not expressed through words. But in this film, there is a couple scenes in this movie where a character expresses her emotions through words, and that right there is sort of a nitpick because Toni Collette did a fantastic job with her performance that the audience can connect with her character, so it won't be as a big deal of her expressing how she feels, and if it's having expedition. Sometimes expedition is important. It's just how it's written and how it's presented. The last thing I have to point out was the film did a really good job of being realistic, and then in the third act there was a little bit of a switch off where it kind of went over the top. And that right there is a small nitpick right there, because you have to have at least a moment where the plot goes over the top, because it's a supernatural horror film. You know, it's sometimes you gotta have that, so therefore it can get with the audience. When you're watching this film, you don't know what to expect, and then something small that might appear at the edge of the screen, or at the very end of the screen, or something in the background. You notice something, and it's kind of hard for your eyes to adjust. What was that? Man, I ain't joking this time. The film was creepy all around. This film had some fantastic performances. Toni Collette definitely deserves an Oscar for her role. She was 100% magnificent. I was astonished. Riveting performance. And the directing style from Ari Aster, he put so much effort, so much time and care. He used a cliche, but he did it so good that it wasn't a cliche at all. He had the horror tropes that you see in other horror films, but he did it on purpose because he's trying to catch the audience off guard. He wants the audience to be prepared for any moment, but then nothing happens. So therefore they just continue just waiting for that moment. And then when it's there, it is unexpected, and an audience that we saw it with had a great time watching this film. I definitely recommend this film. This is definitely one of the best horror films I've seen in a while. Definitely one of the best directed films of the year. I gotta give Hereditary a Ben Affleck Batman-tastic. I highly recommend this film. Check this film out. And guys, that's my review for Hereditary.